What's up everyone? So today we are here to talk about a video that I'm pretty sure many people, like numerous people, have requested from me that I have been unable to do. Granted, there's so many other videos on YouTube where they can be talking about this, so I'm actually very, flattered that people were specifically asking for my take. And that put even more pressure as to me, if I ever do such a video, I gotta get it like just right, or as right as you possibly can be. And so all of that being said, I do believe that I have enough information to at least make a video and give people a head start. And I will go ahead and tell you guys right now that romance is not easy. Shoot, friendships are not easy. And so therefore, the biggest thing that, we're going to have to put at the beginning of my disclaimers is that all types, no matter what personality type that you are, all types can work out romantically and platonically. But the thing about this is that some types are going to have a harder time being able to, while other times are going to just blend along and get along a lot easier. One, just right off the bat, that's just very easy for me to notice, is that I constantly see ENFJ, ISTJ dynamics have lots of friction. But at the same time, I've also, even within myself, I've come to grow and see more value and more simpatico with ISTJs, and I see them actually starting to like me a bit more too. So maybe it's a growing maturity thing or whatever, but at the end of the day, I will say that and again, I'm not from this is not just all going to be just from my perspective. So I want to put that disclaimer out there too. It's not just going to be my experience. It's my experience and then looking at everybody else's experience. So if I had a bad experience with an ISTJ, but every other ENFJ that I know has had great ones, then I'm not going to really include my experience, or I'm going to include it, but I'm not going to really mention it in this way. But from several, when I talk about several, I mean I at least over the past few years have observed about maybe 8 ENFJ ISTJ dynamics that just had lots of friction. So that's not one that I would recommend. But if you are interested in an ISTJ and you're an ENFJ, or if you're an ISTJ and you're interested in ENFJ, I'm not saying that all of a sudden you guys should cut it off. I'm just saying that you guys should be prepared to work harder to see each other's perspective. And that's what type can help you with. This is why I am making such a video, because it's to warn you that, hey, this might not be the best pair, but that doesn't mean that it's not going to work out. And so that's one big thing that we should all keep in mind, that all types can work together platonically and romantically, as long as both people are willing to do the work. And even the easiest of types, if they're not willing to put in work into the relationship, I view relationships as like babies that two people create together. And if you're not feeding that child, if you're not being good co-parents with each other, that child is not going to grow and mature into a very good child, or a very good grown adult. And so you have to make sure that you're really tending to the child well. Don't let just one parent be feeding the child and you're dilly-dallying or whatever. One parent may be more experienced in feeding the child, which I believe that FE users usually are, because at least when it comes to this, FE happens to be what people like what FE is the function where you're focused on the dynamic between you and other people. And so I believe that, FE users might have a higher advantage with this, but this does not mean that no FE user, that there'll be no FE users who won't know how to tend to dynamics and stuff. A lot of them could even be using their powers for bad, and so even then it's always still a toss-up, and that doesn't also mean that other people cannot learn to be better in these dynamics too. So yeah, those are just really, really, really important for you guys to know. Another thing that you guys should know is that there are so many caveats that come to romantic relationships. So when you're choosing a partner, I'm hoping that you're not just going by, oh, I'm looking for an INTJ. Any INTJ. Oh, are you INTJ? No, you're not INTJ. Oh, he says INTJ in his bio, so that means that me and him must get along. No, That's not how you should do it. It helps, but also be thinking about a lot of things, such as like what type of lifestyle do you want? Are you the type of person that when you grow up, like you want to be traveling everywhere? Are you going to be the type of person that wants to like sit down and have like a nice home? Do you want a family? Do you not want a family? Are you like type of person to go out and like have lots of friends? You're gonna be like, doing things? Or are you the type of person that, you're just gonna be like to yourself a little bit, just a small knit group of people? Are you like more flexible? Are you a messy person? All of these different things, like how do you handle money versus how your partner may be able to handle money? How do you handle stress? All of these things go into deciding whether or not you should be romantically involved with the person. Political views, ethnicity, shoot, even your faith point of views. Like if you're a Christian and then you're trying to like get romantically involved with an atheist, that might not be the best relationship for the both of you. And so these are all things that go beyond type. The love languages, so many things. Enneagram, shoot, and Enneagram flavors a lot of things too, because then you can have two people of the same Myers-Briggs type, but now if you have someone who's maybe like sexual dominant, and then you have another one who's like sexual repressed, they're gonna have very different energies, even if they're the same Enneagram type, and speaking of which, now you have to also think about like, okay, do you want a relationship that's more passionate, more intimate, more, Eros type of energy that's just like firing up like everywhere? Do you want one that's like more chill, more relaxed? Do you want one that's more like actual displays of romance, where you're being wooed off of your feet? Or do you want one again that's more like just relax and you guys just go and have fun and other different ways, and you're just best friends that are living together? Well, I mean, maybe not that low, but there are people who kind of want that. But yeah, all of these different things play into you wanting to have a romantic partner. And these are all things that you should be thinking about in addition to identifying what personality type that person is. But once you know what personality type the person is, then that's good, because you're able to now understand how they think, how they process certain things, and then also help them to be able to understand how you think and how you process certain things. And then you can start working together as a team to be able to work these things out. And if you guys ever have any problems, I am a life coach, which also includes relationship coaching, by the way, just in case if you didn't know. And I would like to think that I do very well with, couples who sit down and want to hash some things out, who want to better their relationship. I can definitely help you guys with that over video chats. Just make sure to hit me up if you want to. But all right, without further ado, let's get into my theories. So the biggest thing that I've noticed when it comes to this theory is what I call a shared polarity belly. So what I mean by that is that I call a polarity belly the two middle functions that you have. So for me as an ENFJ, my middle functions are NI and SE. And then for maybe an ISTP or an ISFP, their middle functions are also NI and SE. I believe that when you are with a partner whose tertiary is the same as your auxiliary, and therefore your tertiary is the same as their auxiliary, then that tends to work out very well, especially if you have the same feeling or thinking preference. So of course, with me and Jamila, it wasn't planned or anything, but ENFJ ISFP tends to work out. And again, this isn't just from what I've noticed, but I've seen this all around with several different other ENFJs who are also married to ISFPs, ISFPs who are married to ENFJs. A lot of you guys who are subscribers of mine have mentioned this, and I thought that was pretty cool, and I see this a lot as we talk with them and everything, because they're perceiving the world in the same way, even though they're making decisions in different ways, but they're able to still see where the other person is coming from. And according to BB's model of the 8-function model and everything, we tend to love people with our auxiliary function, and we tend to enjoy being loved with our tertiary function. And so if you are an INFJ, for example, and you are with an ENTP or an ESTP, you guys are sharing that same polarity belly. But now you're loving the ETP with your FE, which is what they like because that's their tertiary, and they're loving you with their TI because that's their auxiliary and that's your tertiary, so you're also liking that. So apparently I think that that works, because then our tertiary is the function that we go to when we're in time of play a lot of times. And so I feel like we can really appreciate that from our partners, to be able to have someone who's more proficient in that, but maybe not as overwhelming a lot of times. And is able to like kind of like go there with us and like, woo us in that type of manner. I also think that I versus E dynamics are very, very good romantically. I think that they're also extremely great platonically. In fact, they're probably better platonically because they just naturally get each other. But still, when it comes to romantic dynamics, I feel like they really help each other like to grow. And if they're able to be able to see the parts in themselves that they dislike in the other person, and then they both can address that in a mature manner. Oh, lots of personal development, lots of growth, lots of self-awareness, all of that. And so if you are an INFP and you're with an ENFP, which I also know dynamics that are like that, I feel like those work out very well. If you're an INTJ with an ENTJ, if you are an ISFP with an ESFP, I see all of that working out together very well. And again, these usually happen to be the best of friends, but at the same time, I believe that they make very great romantic dynamics too. So that's another pattern that I've also seen. Now, one of the only problems that I've seen is between couples that are not sharing any of the same functions. Now, again, this does not mean that those partners are doomed to fail. But if you're not sharing any of the same functions, like for example, if you're with your opposite partner or your opposite type, so to find out which type is your opposite, you change the first dichotomies and you leave the last one. So an ENTJ is opposite type is an ISFJ. An ENTP's opposite type is an ISFP. When you happen to get these two types of people together, then that's when you can have a lot of problems from what I've seen from people that I've coached and, just things that I've observed. And so I would not recommend those types if you do not share any of the functions, and especially if you guys are opposite types. However, if you do happen to like someone who happens to be your opposite type, or you guys don't share any of the same functions, but you're willing to work things out in that manner, then, I feel like, things can still work out very well. And to be honest, it all depends on how much you guys love each other. If you love your partner so much that you're willing to learn all that you can about them, humble yourself, have lots of humility to be able to admit when you were wrong, to be able to address things even when you're upset, to be able to say, I'm sorry, stuff like that, and really work on yourself. Allow them to have constructive criticism with you, and then also bring that constructive criticism back to them in a gentle manner, well-timed, all of that. I think that you have an awesome relationship regardless of what types that you guys may be. But again, there are just certain types that I believe will work well together naturally. And so those are the types of people that I would recommend. And so that is my spiel on romantic partners or romantic dynamics when it comes to these 16 personalities. And let me know what patterns you guys have seen. And, if you disagree, I understand. This is just my experience. This is just, again, like from what I've seen. I've surveyed people. I've asked a lot of people about their dynamics. And of course, at the end of the day, a lot of us have different ideas of what a good relationship would be. Like, for example, I know a friend of mine believes that Randall Pearson and Rebecca Pearson off of This Is Us have a great romantic relationship that she aspires to have one day. And although I can see how it could be a good relationship that can be modeled after, to me, I personally do not. I view that as like a, not horrible, but it's a little bit less than average to me. Like it's not a relationship that I would admire personally. And I don't knock her for liking that type of relationship. Everybody needs something different. But to me, I think that relationship is a little bit less than average. There's a little bit too many exchanges that, that they'll say is like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. I mean, I did, but and it's just like, there should be a little bit more understanding, a little bit more patience, a lot more selflessness, because that's what I believe a relationship is all about, selflessness. And so if you guys can practice that, I feel like both partners should be good. If you guys are so focused on scratching each other's back, you won't need to be looking out for your own back, in my opinion. And teach your partner how to, scratch your back the way that you want to. Figuratively speaking, of course. But hey, if that's your kink, then go ahead and do that literally too. So yeah, I think that is everything now. Be sure to leave questions, comments, concerns, and let me know what you guys think. Done.